All right, good evening. See if notifications go out. See how this goes. I have a few thoughts to talk about. And we'll see. There's the email. There's notifications. And I'm sure everybody's in other live feeds right now. So we got a thumbs up and nobody in here. How's that happen? Good old YouTube, right? Oh man, we get some people in here. I'll do some shout outs, then we'll get on with our topic of the evening. Let's turn the light on so you can see my lovely, beautiful face. Hopefully, I've got a good enough signal, and hopefully, all is well in your worlds. So we'll get some more people in here. We'll do some shout outs. I won't say anything important for a minute, right? So, get some more people in here. My live feeds have not been doing very well. I think people are sick of my crap, right? That's a change, right? Okay, get on with it. All right, as your wish is my command there, Mr. Provost. bigrigceo, I hope you're enjoying your vacation. All right, so we got Daniel Adami, Gary Santar, Siri. I know I'm butchering that. GNC Family Trucking, Ralph Floto, Adam Thomas, Main Trucker, 70 Jerry, Nittany Lion. You're in Jersey. Yeah, that does pukey. It is pukey. Nick Miles. No offense, pros. Brian Garner, what's up? bigrigceo, Nathan Eburo. So let's talk about changes, right? Good evening, Scott. John Cater, what's up? You know, it's if you look at the trucking universe, the trucking YouTube universe, and if you look at my business, my family life, my physical appearance, my mental health changes in the last year, right? And there's only one constant thing that will always be true in trucking. Doesn't matter what the market is, doesn't matter what kind of truck you drive, it doesn't matter what kind of freight you pull. You could be a car hauler, dry van, reefer, grain, a box truck, a school bus driver. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you drive, doesn't matter who you drive for, and it doesn't matter. You could set everything up and be perfect and go out of business, and you can do everything wrong and still stay in business, right? That's 1.5. Half. And the only thing that's constant in trucking, you guys know what that is? We got Ratman Road in the house, Truck for Life, Pale Rider TV, What's Changing, Never Queer, Snorlord Spirit, High Face. It's always changing. You get used to a certain broker, it will change. You get used to a certain truck, it will change. You get used to a certain company, it will change. If you are used to a certain freight lane, it's going to change. If you do a dedicated run that you've done the same for 5 years, a dedicated account, it's going to change eventually, right? Earlier last year, one of our reps from one of our brokers changed, right? And whenever you have a carrier representative change, and we had that happen recently, there's a different dynamic. Now you got to create a new relationship. Now you got to create a new friendship. Now they got to learn how and what and where you think. And then, you know, and then like there were steady loads that I was taking to Oklahoma City and steady loads coming out. Now those loads disappeared. And I've talked about it in one of my old Schneider videos about how it's easy to get complacent with something and then it disappears. You know, a lot of there's a large snack beverage company that Schneider does a lot of pulling for, and a lot of those loads have disappeared. There's a tool / farm and home store that they lost the account or it was changed, and a lot of the guys that relied on that are now scrambling to find something new. And the whole purpose of this video is that you have to be ready for changes. You know, I was talking to Blackbeard and his wife today, and we were talking about this should happen, this should happen. Christmas freight should be going right now. This shipper should be doing this. You know, freight to this area should be happening right now. Everything should be paying $2 a mile. People should be going out of business. Trucks should be getting cheaper. You know, the used market. All these shoulds, and I would rely on these shoulds. Okay, well, cool. So if I'm not busting my butt this week, because I know next week it'll be better, because rates are supposed to go up. Rates should go up. Volume should go up. All that stuff, right? Should. And then it never happens. And so one of the things that I had to do for myself was I had to come to the realization that maybe, just maybe, things are going to stay the same of what they are now. In other words, everybody expected rates to go up. They didn't. Every now and then you get a spike. Every now and then you get a home run. Every now and then you make a phone call and you got that one desperate broker that has to move. But for the most part, you can't do 100% rely on your business on that model, right? You have to deal with what is now. You can't sit there and hold off for a better rate thinking that you're going to get a better rate tomorrow. If you wait, been there, done that, lost my butt. That should have paid this, but it didn't. Doesn't matter. It's in the past. It doesn't help you now. You learn from that, right? Well, you know, this engine part should last at this many miles, right? And it doesn't. It fails. I remember there was another YouTuber. He's not on YouTube anymore, but he was talking about the parts to his truck. And he was under the impression that if you bought shocks for the truck, that was it. They should last 5 to 10 years. I'm like, yeah, if you're on smooth asphalt, you know, for every mile, you know, it's like, where did he get that information? But he kept, maintenance was nickel and dime and death, because this part should do this truck should do that, you know, warranty should cover this. And maybe I should have changed there we go, maybe I ought to change the title of this video to should, because, you know, I was telling Blackbeard about this. There were so many shoulds that I relied on and they did not happen. Getting the mindset that doesn't matter if the rates should or could or would get better, I got to deal with what's in front of my face. Doesn't matter if certain parts of my truck should last this part, you know, this length of time. I need to put money away because things should break, right? And I'll get to some more comments here in a second. And I'm here to tell you that the key to success is being able to adapt to changes. To all the shit that you've heard on Facebook, on YouTube, on the rate pages, and throw them out the window. Take all the shoulds about the economy, take all the shoulds about the elections, take all the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and throw them out the window. Because they do not do you any good right now, today, as your numbers are right there in front of you, right? And prepare for the storm. You get your shelter ready. You put your umbrella in your car. You put on the right jacket, or you put the jacket in your car that you know you're going to need later. While the weatherman can tell you what's going to happen in a couple hours, you could sit there and say, well, it's August, or no, it's October. October what? 7th or 9th, right? I don't know if my days right. And it should be in the 50 degrees range, right? But some places it's snowing, right? Well, that should doesn't do you any good, right? And here's the other changes. So brokers are switching to a more digital format. It makes check calls easier, it makes tracking easier, it makes booking easier. They're wanting to take the human element out, because in the end, a lot of us run our businesses, and I've talked about this myself. They run their business based off emotion, right? And so when that broker ticks you off, or you're not getting the rate you want, or you make bad decisions, and sometimes you could be unprofessional. And if on a Click and Go app, and you Schneider guys should know this, I will answer that. They're wanting to take the human element out of it. Take Uber. You look at the rate, you look at the information, you look at the load times, you look at the locations, you look at the ratings of the customers, and you make a split decision right then and there. There's no haggling, there's no bartering, there's nothing, right? It's plain black and white. And you don't talk to a dang person at all whatsoever. How efficient is that? How many times have you called on a load off of a load board, and you find yourself, oh, this is the perfect load, but the times don't match? Well, you wasted 5 minutes being on hold and trying to call this broker, and next thing you know, somebody else has already snagged that load, or when you call, the times aren't even close, right, that you can do. If they would just list the times right then and there, then you can make a decision before you even make a phone call. That's where the digital brokers are going to have it, And face it, Uber is no different than C.H. Robinson. C.H. Robinson is no different than Alan Lowe. Put bids in, Coyote put bids in, and I think you can even call Uber and barter with them a little bit. But the point is that whether you believe automated trucks are coming, or trucks that drive themselves, I can't say the word right now, are coming, whether you believe it or not, you have to worry about what's going to happen today. If you decide that you want to get your own authority and think that you only want to be out here 2 more years, is it worth it to get your authority? Well, yeah, because you might make some extra money in that short 2-year span. It's still more money, right? Depending on your costs and expenses and how your carrier does stuff and all that stuff, right? And what works today may not work tomorrow. What works tomorrow may not have worked ever. And what works never actually can get something done. That's the nature of business. That's the nature of life in general. Let's go with some more comments. Shadow Wolf in the house. How's it going? Big Road Little Truck. Ralph Floto, I think I already said hey to you, but if not, Ben and White, the No Man, how goes it? Kevin and Ollie, amen. Inspector, what's up? I meant to call you today and I forgot. I'm sorry. I've been on the phone all day. So what you're saying is sufficient maintenance escrow is crucial. Eric Johnson, let's talk about that. So should I get in the business or not? Eric Johnson, let's answer your question, okay? If I'm sitting here talking to the right people, I feel very positive about my future, right? I was talking to Jeff yesterday. We were talking about the ELD stuff, and we were talking about the future of light trucking, right? It was a very positive conversation, right? Now, later on, before I went to bed, I went and watched, went to Facebook, right? And then I watched a YouTuber talk about a lot of the stuff that's coming down the line, what broke off, right? And it really kind of got me down. So it's all perspective. Nothing changed in the 2 hours that I was sitting there except my perception. And so it all depends on what your perception is. You're going to have a lot of obstacles if you want to get into this business, okay? So the better you can set yourself up, the more you can set yourself up, the better it will be. In other words, the better you can set yourself up, the more you can overcome obstacles. And the basics are the same for any business. Low cost, minimize your risk, and don't make decisions based off emotion. And we've all been guilty of it. I've been guilty of it. I've told you guys that is my weakness sometimes. And you always hear about the cold-hearted, rigid businessman. And I think that comes with the territory. If you're an entrepreneur, I always have trouble saying that word. There's a certain aspect of yourself that you're going to be kind of cold-hearted on a couple of things. You're going to have to burn somebody in one way or another, take advantage of them, right? I'm not talking without morals. You take something for something, right? So if you go in the convenience store and you need to buy, say, a bottle of aspirin, right? Well, the convenience store is taking advantage of the fact that they're charging you quadruple the price that they paid for on that aspirin. And you're taking advantage of the fact that it's there, ready to go. It's a give and take situation. That's what I mean by about taking advantage, And so if you come out right with a sufficient amount of savings, I would have 2 or 3 months of bills. If you have high home bills, or if you're the sole breadwinner and you have to cover health care, that could be an issue. Look at all the things in the worst case scenario that could take you out. If this truck threw a rod tomorrow, I wouldn't be out that much money. Would I be without a truck? Yeah. Could I cover it in cost and savings and available to me? Not enough to cover a rod being thrown or, a turbo, but enough that I could stay in business. You have, warranties are key, and sometimes it's luck of the draw. You can buy the same exact truck as the guy next to you and have it be a lemon, and then other times you can buy a truck and it will be perfect for you. And every negative experience that happens to you, you learn from it. If you're a company driver, pay attention to what it's costing the company to run that truck. Pay attention to how much you're spending in fuel. Pay attention to your fuel mileage. Run that truck like a mock business. And have money in reserves, because warranties don't cover downtime. Warranties don't cover lost revenue. Warranties do not cover tows. Well, maybe they do. Warranty will not make your car payment at home. With everybody that buys a new truck utilizing those warranties, what happens at the dealership? They're backed up. You could go in for a simple oil change, and you have to adapt to those changes. That's a change. And maybe that 2 weeks that you had to take off because you hit that deer and the truck is having trouble getting, or the shop is having trouble getting to your truck, Maybe someone else takes those steady loads that you had. Maybe someone else takes a dedicated run. So you have to learn to adapt, and you have to learn to flow with the changes. And you have to be willing to make changes to improve yourself. Look at Escargot. What did he do? He bought a trailer, bought a second trailer, and then bought a car hauling trailer. He's diversifying. He's going through changes. He built a foundation, and then he developed it from there. And so if the drive-in market takes a dump, he can haul cars. If the automotive area takes a dump, he can haul drive-in. Some of the very successful people at Landstar, what they do is they buy a drive-in, they buy a flatbed. Certain times of the year they run the flatbed, and other times of the year they run the drive-in. But they're holding steady. They deal with the changes in the weather, changes in the environment, changes in the market. You know, sometimes you go out to California, you can get a really good paying load out, and other times you can't get squat. You know, and if you could sit there and swing for home runs all you want, but you can't establish a business solely off those home runs. You have to create the scenario that can get you more home runs than not. But you still have to learn how to deal with the singles. You still have to learn how to deal with the lower rates. You still have to learn how to position yourself at the right place at the right time so you don't take a hit. You have to position yourself to where if something catastrophic happens to either you, your health, the truck, your family, any of that, you want to be able to survive that. It's a part of living. It's a part of life. And you know, like if someone passes you, they should be in their lane. But no, 2 feet over and they're taking out your mirror. That almost happened to me today. Health insurance is, so what I would do, Eric, is I would try to research as one reason why people go out of business, why people can't start a business, whether it be health, liability, authority. If a person wants to get their own authority and they call for some quotes and they're like crazy high, then guess what? You're probably not getting your own authority. That's control. Insurance companies control the market. They control the industry. And not just our industry, a lot of industries. If you want to open a brick and mortar store, you have to deal with this kind of insurance, you have to deal with this kind of insurance. And they know that they got you because either A, the laws require you to have it, or B, they sell fear, like, oh, you know, you're in a flood zone, so you're going to want to get flood insurance. And you might look at the history of the place and say, well, it's only flooded once, but it only takes that one time to take you out. So you want insurance for that. And if you don't have insurance for that, guess what? You're done. You're in debt. You're bankrupt, right? So it's all about how do you adapt to the changes. So Eric, I would look at what is the worst case scenario if I don't make it. That's what I would look at. Yeah, I hear you, Eric. That's a wall for many people. I am completely blessed because of that, because I don't have to worry about that. Autonomous. Thank you, Pale Rider. Spooby, what's up? And Michael, what's up? Pigtail. And so I'm sitting here and, you know, and I've been talking to a lot of people about a lot of changes that have happened to me over the last year. And my perception of health, my perception of food, my perception of business, my perception about a lot of different things. And you know, and YouTube, our trucking YouTube universe has gone through a lot of changes. There's a lot of people who have gotten off the road. There are a lot of people who have shut their channels down. There are people that have restructured their channels to do something else. There are people who've done, you know, we've heard about the people that went out of business, and we've heard about the people that have been successful. Live feeds and talking head videos become the norm, whereas At one time it was the other way around. People are getting new equipment. People are getting different. They're using analytics different. If you look at Provost Motorsports, you look at his channel, look at the beginning, and look at it is now. It's gone through changes. Those changes have helped him have a more successful YouTube channel. Me, I'm kind of stagnant with my YouTube. Part of me knows why, but a part of me, you know what? There are things that I do that are no different than some of these other people that I've seen, but I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that because it's not a priority to me. My purpose of this YouTube channel is to entertain myself. There's feed my little level of narcissism, but also because I want to try to make the world a better place. Well, that's an egocentric, narcissistic way. I can make the world better, yeah, right? But the reality is the more positive vibes I put out there, the more information of the stuff that I've learned, mostly the hard way, that I can put out there. Maybe you don't have that same hiccup, and so you can learn past that. In other words, if you learn that through me, that buying a piece of crap old used truck could take you out, then you avoid that by not buying an old piece of crap truck that could take you out, right? If I tell you that you need to know your numbers before you come out, well, I didn't know my numbers before I came out, so some people might go, well, you did it. Well, yeah, but you learn from my mistakes. and then now you can get to the next step easier. And the more successful people can be, the more positive people can be out here, it will only make the industry better. Now, not much happening here in the waiting exit, Longshoreman Unions. Yep, I hear you, bro. I'm right there with you. And now, people are saying, well, the Christmas freight should happen at X time, right? It's October, people. The stuff is already in the stores. It's already at the DCs. The Christmas stuff is done shipping, with the exception of some beverage stuff, some food stuff. Reefers are probably still seeing a spike. But the dry van stuff, the trailer full of Christmas decorations, it's already done, gone, and shipped, right? So if you're waiting for the Christmas rush that should happen, guess what? If things that should happen don't, you adjust to that. Back when everybody was making a killing out here, the 2017-18 market, back when that was happening, the shippers came in, created contracts for lower rates. The shippers flocked to that. Volume dropped. Reduce their costs. They are no different from me. They are no different from you. Their job is to reduce their costs as much as they possibly can. And paying $4 a mile to move freight 1,000 miles away ain't going to happen anymore, because businesses will go out of business if they keep doing that. That was unsustainable. So they figured it out. They figured out that the just-in-time is where you pay out the yin-yang, and so I'm seeing less and less just-in-time loads. They figured out that that if we can just buy a building or rent a building or lease a building and warehouse this stuff, then we could trickle this stuff in, take advantage of the slow times of the year, back when things should be slower. And then they start the hype on the Facebooks and the social media, saying, oh, you're lucky to get $2 a mile, man. And so when you get that $1.98 load, you take it. Next thing you know, you're taking $1.90, and next thing you know, you're taking $1.80. Oh, now you're in that area. Well, that shipper does not care if that freight sits on the dock for 3 days, so they will let that thing bid at $1.10. And as more and more people go out of business and they think that these shoulds happen, and they don't, and they didn't prepare for this, they become desperate, so they have to move. And what happens? They take that stuff, Loads that used to pay $1,200 now or you're lucky to get $700. Yes. But the Christmas stuff is done. There's no rush coming. In the food sector, maybe, right? So you have to prepare like there's never going to be a Christmas rush. Now, let's say I'm wrong. Let's say FreightWaves puts out an article on November 1st and like, oh, get the Black Friday, things are going to, ship, and then I'm wrong. But you prepared yourself like it never happened. So when that happens, let's say that I'm wrong. Well, guess what? Now you can bank it. Now you can really take advantage of that situation. And also know that it's not going to stick around like that. Know that it's going to change. There's that keyword again. And last October, this is how last year went. Well, rates dropped down in July, but they should come up in August. Never went up. Well, August is always slow. So they always, it should come up, at the end of September. Never went up. Well, no, September's always, I heard this over and over and over. And these people trying to predict the market, telling you what should or shouldn't, based off of history, based off of what it's done in the past. All they were doing was a disservice and creating panic, September's always a slow month, so you better go ahead and take that $1.25 freight if you want to make that truck payment, right? And then emotion kicks in and you go, well, I ain't moving this truck for less than $2 a mile. And then you sit for 3 days. Guess what? That was me. I did it at Landstar, and I did it here. Didn't do that at Schneider. Gee, Steve, you made money at Schneider. Why? Because of consistency. Schneider didn't follow the trends. Their quarters were pretty even throughout each. If you want to survive and thrive in the spot market, guess what? You got to deal with the changes. You got to act like every day stuff could go downhill very easily. Hoard the money. I was telling a friend of mine that just started a lease. I said, you know how you're eating off of ramen noodles this week? Yeah. Well, you got to continue doing that. Not that I recommend ramen noodles because they're not keto friendly. They're very bad for you. But the principle's the same. You need to act like you got absolutely no money. Rich people live like they're poor. That's how they stay rich. Poor people live like they want to be rich. Poor people goes out and like, I'm going to buy that new Camaro. And next thing you know, they're having to work 2 jobs just to pay for the car and the house, right? And, because you had to have that new Camaro. And now here's the situation. James was talking about this morning. And who else was I talking to? Sometimes as an owner-operator, you look at your numbers and you go, wow, I'm not making much more than a company driver, right? So you have to ask yourself, well, why are you in business? Well, for me, it's the freedom, right? And lost my train of thought. There are days when you're going to starve, just like if you own a brick and mortar store. Let's say you serve baked goods, right? Monday, no one comes in the store. Now, you could shut the store, close the store down for the day, and go home, right? Because after utilities and just being there or paying someone to be there, you're losing money. Then the next day, same thing happens. Then next day you do okay. There's a reasonable amount of people coming in. Nothing's changed. You bake the same stuff. You have the same specials. You have the same prices, right? And next thing you know, Friday comes along. There was some local concert right next to the store, at a venue next to the store. Next thing you know, at 8 o'clock, an hour before you're going to shut the store down, 100 people come in wanting stuff, right? And had you shut the doors, you missed out on that opportunity. So there are times when you're going to man the store and nothing's going to happen. You're not going to make any money. You know, I once talked to a restaurant owner that actually had welfare. That was where I was going with this. So as an owner operator, sometimes you're only going to make barely above what after profit and everything, you're only going to make barely above what a company driver makes. But here's the difference. Instead of grossing 1,000 and taking home about 7, now you might gross 35 and then take home, say, 26. Well, out of that 26, you got to make your truck payment, you got to make your fuel payment, you got to make, you got to pay for your ELD, your insurance, and everything else. So at the end of the day, you might only be looking at $700. Okay, so you made the same amount of money. But what happened is you moved a lot more money in volume. You're dealing with bigger numbers. So instead of 1,000 to 700, you went from you did 3,500 to 2,600, and then inexperienced people, myself included, look at that 26 and go, yeah, I've never made 2,600 as a company driver. As a company driver, you weren't making a truck payment. As a company driver, you weren't worried about the ELD. As a company driver, you did not have to pay for fuel. So that tire blows, not your problem, right? So that's the difference. So a lot of people come into this game not realizing that the money is almost the same unless you're doing something really right. But yet the volume of money changes. It's a lot higher. And so you get this false impression, especially when times are good, that you can go out and buy that new car. You can go out and buy that new motorcycle. And next thing you know, rates come down because they shouldn't have gone down. And the next thing you know, your costs have gone way up. Your truck breaks down. And now you've got all these liabilities sitting at home. Motorcycle, new car. That adds stress. Well, stress makes you do dumb things. Think about that for a minute. Stress makes you do dumb things. Perfect example. There's a famous video of a USA Truck driver, USA Truck, who was coming up on a bridge, saw that he can go underneath it, and he hit what I call the panic point. As a trainer, and Kevin, you probably agree, every trainee goes through a panic point. Every driver goes through a panic point where they're not thinking. They're freaking out. And this guy was so stressed out that he was trying to turn around and completely, that truck was completely totaled. Okay? But if you watch the video, all he had to do was go up to the guy that was filming and say, hey, do you think you can help me out here? I need to back up. And I noticed that I have just enough space if you moved a little bit. And maybe keep an eye on anybody trying to come so I can, all he had to do was back up about 20 feet and then he could have turned around. He would have had enough space to turn around. But stress kept him from making that decision. Stress kept him from keeping his cool, and therefore he made a very bad decision that was probably a career ender. And you could blame it on the GPS, you could blame it on his trainer, you could blame it on the company, you can even blame Freightliner. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how he got to that place, but how he handled it. And he was too stressed out to handle it. So when you're stressed out, it's hard to have a clear mind and make decisions based off what logic will tell you and how and when and where you need to go in which direction. So that is the key thing, is to reduce your stress. So if you have $5,000 worth of bills at home and you're the sole breadwinner and you got a $4,000 truck note, how big is your stress level going to be when stuff's only $1.80 a mile? Remember, the national average is $1.89 a mile right now on the dashboard. Okay, if you go to 1, 2, 3 low board, the average rates are lower. So that's unsustainable. I don't care if you got the best work ethic. I don't care if you have the best freight lane or the best broker. Guess what? That is unsustainable. If your costs are too high, it is unsustainable. And that was the difference. If I was at Schneider and I grossed $4,000 in 1 week, I would bring home at least $1,000 more than the Schneider finance guy. Why? Because I didn't have a Schneider finance truck. Now, I still had to pay for my truck, so my weekly takeout, if you one divided by week, was like, $400 a week. So that's more money than I'm making, right? So that other person can gross 4 and only take home 2, while I can gross 3 and still take home 2. That's the beauty of having your costs low. And so the lower your cost, the lower your stress. If you're sitting there driving a brand new truck that costs you almost nothing because you put a huge down payment on it, and you got things caught at home, you got about $20,000 in the bank, now you can make better calculated decisions, right? Now you can strategize a little bit better. Now you can wait a little bit, try to hit that home run. But eventually you got to move, or else you're going to lose money, right? So you have to find the fine line of revenue, profit, your daily costs, and your mileage rate, your rate per mile. And the less stressed you are, the better decisions you can make. You can think with a clearer head. You sleep better. You have better conversations with your marital half, your spouse. And because we don't eat right, we don't sleep right, we deal with we're treated like second-class citizens. We have shippers and receivers that won't even acknowledge our existence sitting in their window. And if you knock, God forbid, you're back in the line. Go to hell, And you can always tell when you go to a customer that everybody's stressed out because they treat you like crap. And those are the ones that, keep you at the dock for 3 or 4 hours, right? And whereas the places that have their act together, those are the places that get you unloaded in 20 minutes. Those are the places that make it easy to back in. Those are the places that don't have a 20 truck line just to check in, because it's pleasant to work there. So therefore, they've got good management, and guess what? Nobody's stressed. And so therefore, boom, it's a better place. And that's what trucking needs to be. The less stress you have, the more fun you can have out here. I don't care how much you love trucking. There are days when you don't want to be out here. There are days when I don't want to be out here. There are days when I'm very pessimistic about the future of myself and trucking in general. So the less stress you have, but ever since I've changed my diet, changed my health, I'm thinking clearer. You guys have seen it in my videos, and what happens is, and again, this is not just for owner operators. This is for anybody. Okay, I don't care if you're not even a truck driver. The less stress you have in your life, the better. What causes stress? Paying bills, relationships. And so what do? You stay out of debt. You don't buy stupid crap. And you work on your relationships. You work on your health. Health is a big... Stress can take a perfectly good person and make them sick, even if they eat right. And the less people that are stressed out here, the better. And so if you can learn from my mistakes, if you can look at my video and go, man, wow, I don't want to make the same mistakes this idiot Steve did. Now you're less stressed because of that. And so I'm trying to do a service by telling you, hey, now I'm not the kind of person that's going to say you should do this or you should do that, because shoulds can be thrown out the window, right? So use terms like you want. You want to have money in the bank. You want to have good credit. You want to have access to a good line of credit. You want to have a good shop nearby. You want to live in an area that makes it a little bit easier to get home or to leave. You want to stay out of certain areas. You want to go to certain areas. Yes, because Midwest doesn't work for everybody, right? That's a very blanket, general statement. And I hate blanket, general statements, because all it does is it pisses off the other half. You were on Black Friday merch last September. Exactly. I'll keep listening to you and the CEO. Keep waiting for the sign. There you go, Eric. If you can figure out the health insurance issue, then you're golden, right? I would look at Steve Berger. I believe he supplies his health insurance, and I would email him, go to his channel, S Berger, and he can probably point you in the right direction on what to do with the health insurance. Happy Hollow Thanksmas, right? Every year holidays get earlier and earlier, right? I guarantee that November 1st, I kid you not, you're going to start seeing Valentine's Day crap. That's no joke. And a lot of it's last year's stuff that they blew the dust off or whatever. But if it costs so much, think about this. I worked for a company that manufactured these things, right? And they wanted this ridiculous quota. And so we were working a ton of overtime, just a ton of overtime. And it's mandatory. Don't care what your plans are. Don't care what you planned a month ago. It's mandatory. You need to work 60 hours a week. And we do. We busted our butt, right? Next thing you know, oh, hey, thanks for working for 60 hours for the last month and a half, but you're all laid off because we got no work. Wait a minute. Couldn't you keep everybody employed by just having 40 hours a week and stretched out the quota over a certain period of time and not have to lay anybody off? Well, the pencil pushers decided that you can't make a profit that way. They made adjustments. Now, part of lean manufacturing process called for no warehousing and just-in-time style shipping. Well, guess what? That costs money. So if a broker is trying to cover a load at the last minute and he doesn't get it covered, well, now there's a factory that could potentially shut a line down because they didn't get that product moved because they were waiting until the last minute to try to get the lowest rate. And so brokers are losing contracts. Brokers are losing business as well as truck drivers are, right? But the shippers are like, you know what? Instead of shipping everything at once in October, what if we started trickling a pallet at a time, or 2 pallets, or 2 truckloads at a time, starting in late August? Next thing you know, it looks normal on low boards, it looks normal volume-wise. You might have to pay a little bit more for a weekend here, but if the broker can't move it, they're told, hey, you got 3 days to move this. Take your time. Try to move it as cheaply as possible. But there's that one time where, the shipper messed up and now they're paying out the yin-yang to move that product. Well, that's one time, right? So For every load that they might get 50% on, there's a load that they lost money on, right? So it balances out, just like our world. You're gonna have stuff that's below your cost per mile, and you're gonna have stuff that's way above your cost per mile. And it's a law of averages. Well, brokers work the same way, and the shippers work the same way. A lot of people don't realize that. So now they figured out, you know what? There's a building across the street. Let's just lease that out. Or let's hire Schneider to let us use 10 trailers that we can keep in the parking lot as storage. We'll put that on the dock, ship it, and then closer to Christmas, they make changes. They adapt to change. They don't want to pay $4 a mile for 1,000 miles anymore. They don't want to do that. They learn their lesson. Their job is to reduce costs so they can increase their profit. No different than us. So they learned. They changed it up and they learned. And then the brokers and of people that didn't manage their expenses and they're going out of business, they manipulate those. Oh man, how many times have we called a broker? Man, you know, I've we normally move these at 800, and I've got a carrier on the other line. If you don't, they want, if they know that you're like, well, I got to make my truck payment, they're going to be like, well, you better take it for this low rate so you can make that truck payment. Fear equals profit. That is a fact. You're profit off that fear. Are you afraid of someone breaking into your home? Security systems profit off that fear. Are you afraid of a breakdown? Warranty companies profit off that fear. Are you worried about tornadoes? Insurance companies profit off that fear. Do you see how that works? And it's all part of life. You can sit there and blame the brokers, blame the shippers, blame the trucks, blame the DEF, blame Ohio, blame the DOT, blame, the truck stops, blame that mechanic that touched your truck. But the reality is, it's life, it's change, and it constantly is in motion. And if you put out the right frequencies and you surround yourself with the people that are doing what you want to do, guess what? You're going to soon join them. And there can always be changes for the better, but there are always changes for the worse as well. And you have to be prepared for both of them. And I will admit, if it wasn't for the support I have at home, if it wasn't for a little bit of luck, knock on wood, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. But when I took the risk of going out and getting my own IRP plate and took the risk of going out and getting my own trailer, I said, what's the worst? Jeff and I had this conversation. What is the worst that can happen to you, Steve? What is the worst? Let's base my decisions off the fear of what could happen for the worst. Now, did I set myself up perfectly? Absolutely not. Do I have a warranty on this truck? No. Is a big breakdown potentially going to happen? Yes. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, right? It's how you handle it at that point. You could do everything right. You can have 20 grand in the bank. You've got an 800 credit score. You go out and buy a brand new truck, and you sign on with a company that is awesome, and then you literally are on the interstate on your first load, and you're feeling good about life. Someone crosses the median and hits you head on. Boom! The person in the car dies. What are you going to do? Now you're involved in lawsuits and insurance companies, and your career's on the line. Truck is towed. Bills aren't being paid at home. You might even have an injury. You couldn't control that. That's a change that was beyond your control. What do you do? How do you handle that? And so there was a point where we said, well, what's the worst that can happen? And my wife goes, well, we could lose the house. Like, that's not an option. I will do everything in my power that I will never lose the house because of this truck, because of any truck, right? Because I know people will be without a place to live. So I based my risk off of that. Could I go out and buy a $160,000 truck tomorrow? Yes. Do I have the credit to rebuild the engine in this truck if I have to, or the DF system? Yes. I go out and buy any car I want because I got a good credit score. But you know what? That doesn't help me. And while I would love the luxury of a new truck to utilize that warranty, I'll look at the other side. Well, you know, again, warranty doesn't cover bills at home. It doesn't make the truck payment. So if you're at the Packard dealership because you got a Packard engine and you have to take it to the dealer and they're backed up 2 days, what do you do? How do you handle that? Are you gonna lose your house because the local Peterbilt dealership is going to take 4 days to even look at your truck? That's the thing. So I look at getting a new truck. I'm like, well, that doesn't solve that problem, does it? Now, if my brand new truck was only $1,000 a month and I had money in the bank, then that's a different scenario. Oh, truck's going to be down for 5 days. Well, what can I be doing to make money otherwise while the truck's down? It's all perception, and you have to deal with the changes as they come, whether it be good or bad. You get in a hot market and you're hitting home runs left and right. Ride that gravy train so you can possibly ride it no more. And stash, freaking out. And brokers are like, we move this all the time for $1 a mile. You can sit there and say, you know what, no thanks. You know what, there's a holiday coming up. I'm just going to take the whole month off, right? Because you're not stressed. See where that comes in? Emotion, stress makes you make bad decisions. Stress also causes and escalate health issues. Yep, you are right. Willie's pickled liver. Getting cold enough for blankets, right? Honey, there's one of the two bearded truckers talking business at the truck stop. LOL. Some people don't take change well. That's true. There's a lot of old hands out here that don't like the new technology. They don't like the new trucks. There are people that purposely go out and buy a 1986 W9 so they don't have to deal with e-logs because they don't want to deal with that change. And I get it, you know. I wish I could idle this truck without worrying about if it's going to screw up the DF system and not need the APU. But placing it Schneider, I was doing well. I was very happy. Change. And some of the changes I anticipated and some of them I didn't. And it was only my own mental weaknesses that kept me from profiting when things were really good. You guys saw that. I was at home too much. And it took me a long time to recognize that. And it took a good friend to tell me that. Always that fear of a catastrophic breakdown or occurring injuries. Michael Dow, what's up? You retracted your message. I think it's easier to accept change or worst case scenarios if you've hit bottom. I've been homeless before. I've had devastating relationships before. I've had literally nothing. I've had my world completely ripped from me before. And so when you work from that rock bottom, sometimes a setback that's all it is. It's just a setback. Sometimes it'll stress you out and sometimes it doesn't. And I will say this is part of my mindset now. Health. You eat right. You sleep right. You sleep right, stress level goes down, depression goes down. This is a fact. I am evidence of that. If you can't see it in my face, if you can't see it in my demeanor, if the people that are my business, because my health improvements have completely changed my life, both physically and mentally and financially. Trust me on this. And all it takes is a little spark, a little key, right? Found out that I have a relative who has lung cancer. And I found out another close relative has breast cancer. And all this, because I'm a narcissist, all this stuff doesn't matter. The money, where to go, how to do it, what to do, doesn't matter. If you're not happy, if you're too stressed, and your health goes to crap. I would kill to drive with the purple legs. Can barely get out of the truck, right? What good is that beautiful truck if you can't take care of yourself? What good is making a $3,000 truck note for a W-9 that's all customized if you lose your CDL due to health? You gotta find balance. And I had to focus on me. I had to focus on my health, and I did. And you guys have seen in my morning coffee videos, which I haven't done in a while, and I apologize. You've seen it. You've seen it. If you can't see it, then you haven't been following me very long. Which is fine. I don't care if you see it or not, to a certain extent. But I want you to know that I'm living proof that you can turn things around, no matter how bad things get. You can turn it around and make things better, even if it's a small, minuscule seed that you got to plant. All it takes is a change of perception. All it takes is the right person to tell you the right thing. And boom, your perception's different. Fear goes away. Knowledge enters. And then fear of the unknown becomes, I'm prepared for the storm. That's the beauty of all of this. That's the beauty of life. Multiple job skills is a stress reliever. Truck one day, fabricating something the next. That's right, overtaxed in Minnesota. I don't have many skill sets. I've got welding. See, what are my skill sets? I'm a good cook, so any restaurant. Welding, metal fabrication, auto body repair, school bus driving. Well, Steve, that's not a skill. Let's see you drive a vehicle that's 72 feet long, full of 80,000 children. Let's see you do that. That's a skill set. Because not only are you dealing with the physical action of driving a large vehicle in small places like neighborhoods, and you have to make sure you're not running over anything or anybody, but you're also dealing with 50 to 60 kid personalities. Think about that. That's a skill set. Don't get paid well for that skill set, which is why I'm still not doing it. If it paid well, I'd still be doing that right now. Because I enjoyed it. Never been a manager. So I'd have to learn some management skills, right? Dang, Snurler, we have the same talents. You had me beat on a bus driver, not sure if you have tire change experience. No, I've never changed the tire on a large vehicle. You only know what you know. And you're only going to learn if you dive into it, right? And I've had very successful people keep telling me that. First time I bought a truck, big pain in the butt, right? Second time I bought a truck, not too bad. I guarantee you the next time I buy a truck, it'll be a non-issue. First year, I had to get my IRP plate, Porsche plate. pulled my hair out, wanted to kill things. Second year, everything was pretty much safe around me except for the printer. A little bit of headache. But from that experience, I learned, well, you need to be more organized. Okay, when it's time for renewal, you're on top of it. So this year, now my IRP expires December 31st. However, they start the renewal process in September. If you don't have everything by October 1st, you get a penalty. So it was in my financial best interest I had my act together, right? So this year, it took about 20 minutes. Money was already in the bank. Boom, boom, boom. Problem solved. There's a lot of headaches and bureaucratic red tape just to even be leased on with someone. Just to be like a Schneider IC. Just to be a contractor at Life Trucking. Jeff makes it as easy as possible here. You got your own truck, got your own plate, got your own trailer. I'll handle the rest. You just got to book loads, deal with relationships with people, and be a people person. That's a hard aspect of that. And if you genuinely hate people, I think brokers detect that, and it's harder to negotiate. So you got to be bubbly. You got to be like, you got to sell yourself a little bit, right? But the point is that the first time you call a load, it's hard. Second time, it's not so bad. Third time, you're a pro. Then 6 months later, you got this ego. Well, you know, I've been in the spot market for 6 months, and I'm here to tell you how to run your stuff. No, don't do that. I saw that all the time at Schneider. You got Schneider ICs that were like, well, you know, last year I was company driver, but this year I've been self-dispatching and pretty much got this program down. And then when they lose their normal loads, they don't know what to do, right? Or Schneider screwing this up, or Schneider screwing that up, right? Schneider was in business way before you were there. They're going to be in business after you gone, right? Your idea is not going to make or break the company. You being mad about a trailer tire being out isn't going to make or break the company, right? In the grand scheme of things, we're insignificant. We really are. Companies want to make you think you're valuable, but you're not. Your value has to come from within to yourself. You have to have the confidence that you make or break your company. Because in the end, you can have a bunch of people give you a bunch of money, and you could still fail. Or you can learn from the experience and learn, okay, you know what? That hurt, so I'm not doing that again. That hurt me financially. You know, and it's how you learn. It's your struggle that we learn. I've said that over and over. I'm a broken record when it comes to that. And it all comes down to changes. You know, if you're a Schneider IC, what's working for you now may not work next week. An area that works really well now may not work next week. Well, heck, Snorler, I can tell how you handled your trucking career. Just keep that left door shut, mash the right pedal to the floor, and stay out of the truck stops. Make all the money you can. That's true, but you know, you got to enjoy life a little bit too. If you have to constantly run, see, that's the beauty of being an owner operator with a self-dispatch company, is that it's all about revenue, especially if you're getting percentage. And so there were many times when I was not under the gun, like this load here. This load had a lot of time on it. It still gave me a good daily rate. And so I was able to hang out with Anthony Blackbeard and his wife for 3 hours. And I still had time to get to the truck stop and get a good parking spot, right? And because I'm not stressed about money, I was able to pay for a good spot instead of the crap hole place that's next door I despise, right? But in a pinch, I can go over there too. So you got to enjoy life. You got to enjoy it a little bit. You got to enjoy this ride. If you got to run 700 miles a day every single day and get 34s on the road and you can't enjoy the money that you make, you can't enjoy hanging out with your friends, you lose your social life, that's not happiness. What does that do? That causes stress, right? So don't be afraid to put yourself in a position where you can stop and smell the roses, stop and be able to take a long shower. You know, I remember, you know, there were weeks where, you know, like there better not be a line to the shower and you're in and out. Like you're literally like turn the water on, stand for a second, wash your hair, boom, you're out. You know? And you see it all the time. You see these guys practically taking a bath in the sinks in the bathroom, right? They smell bad, but they're sitting there and they're literally scrubbing their heads and brushing their teeth, and that was going on in this picture here earlier. Buy a trinket or two. Enjoy yourself, right? But don't do something that alleviates stress. Like, you know, I think like all us Mats, Mid-America Truck Show, we enjoyed each other's company. We hung out, and it was a stress reliever because we're talking shop, we're talking, you know, how we're all running our businesses, you know, and we're all like cut this common ground, bitching about traffic and this, you know, and we all feel a bond, you know, and you know, we're all, you know, we've all prepared to take 3 days off, you know, and all this stuff, and it was a good time. And then boom, we're right back at work, right? We're back ready to the grind, you know, and you have to find the balance, the perfect balance between home time, money, and family. If you take a circle graph and put it into 3 parts, it's got to be equal parts, like a wheel. If you're home too much, the business suffers. Money and home time. You got to have strong, stable relationships. To make it easier. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I've seen divorce take out a few people. And I've seen this career cause a few divorces. Well, Les, we talked more than just business, you know. We caught up. Well, Blackbeard's one of the people, he had my number, but for some reason I lost his. Probably because it was on my old phone. I never saved the contact. We talk on Zello, right? And so we saw on Life 360 that I was nearby. We met up. Now we both got each other's numbers. And, you know, and they were asking me questions. And I was asking them questions. Future of trucking, the future of our companies, you know, that kind of thing. Mrs. Blackbeard is a nice lady, but 2 bearded truckers together talking shop, having fun, telling jokes. No wonder she said bye at the end of the video. Jason, what's up? If I'm home too much, wife is asking me to get back out here, right? And, you know, and that's true. You know, my dad, he always wanted to be home, but then when he was home for more than a week, he was ready to go back out, but he wouldn't admit it, right? And I think the key to my parents' long relationship was that I think my dad was a truck driver. And I might believe that for myself too. My wife and I have a good relationship. Now, I'm not saying that there's never been any tribulations, but everything that we've gone through has made us stronger. And I think about what trucking has done for me. It's helped me find myself spiritually, mentally. It's made a better man out of me. It's made me a better person. It's made me a stronger person. And that's something, I could quit this job tomorrow. I could leave the trucking industry forever tomorrow. I could die tomorrow. One thing I will always have that trucking gave me was it made a man out of me. That may sound cheesy. I'm sure some other YouTubers are going to make fun of me for that. But the reality is it's made me a better person because I don't take anything for granted. A lot of things I had at home I took for granted. And my relationship suffered for that. And so when you go without, what happens? You start, oh crap, I took that for granted. And so what do? You have gratitude. Gratitude helps with stress. You're having a crappy day, well, be grateful that you're alive. Sometimes the only thing you can be grateful for is that you're breathing, right? Because I have family members that are dealing with cancer battles. I have people in my circle that are dealing with health issues. And you never know when life is a huge. Anyways, thank you for watching. We're going to end this live feed because it's over an hour and 19 minutes. Kevin, thank you for sharing the video. I'm not the smartest person, but I'm smarter than you think. Only because I've dealt with some stuff. Because I've made mistakes and learned the hard way. I've surrounded myself with good people. And that's been the key to my success. I have an awesome family that supports me. I have awesome friends that are willing to give me any information I need or to help me along in any capacity that they can. And there's not a day that goes by that I take that for granted, because there was a time where I didn't have that. There was a time I didn't have my health. There was a time where my family was not doing so hot. And there was a time where nobody liked me. And there are people out there who still don't like me. And it doesn't bother me, because I know that I can be hard to deal with, trust me. But adapt to changes. Know that change is the only constant. You know, they have a saying in Missouri, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute, because it's always changing. Don't believe the shoulds and don't believe the fear. And so anyways, take it easy. Peace out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate it, oh well, I tried. See ya.